Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the ADHD Reframe Project with me, host Emma Craven. And this is now officially season 2, which is quite exciting because, the podcast's been going for long enough that I'm now on season 2. And today I'm joined by Charlie. So, Charlie, would you just like to give us a little bit of an introduction to you, please?
I just want to say congratulations on season 2. But yeah, my name's
Thank you.
Charlie. I was diagnosed in 2022 with ADHD, and then a year on, it found out that I had autism as well. And throughout that journey, it's just been a self-discovery where I'm just learning to actually unmask, be myself, and also running a business and running several projects, but that is the ADHD form. So yeah, I'm happy to be here and I can't wait to what we discuss.
And this is your first podcast, isn't it? So
Yes.
I'm like your first podcast host anyway. So diagnosed in 2022. So why do you think maybe your ADHD went so undiagnosed until later in life?
I think when I was looking at it more, I didn't have the support and I didn't have the language to know what it was. Throughout my growing up and everything, I had these anxiety and depression spells. And being honest, all the doctors gave me were antidepressants, anti-anxiety meds. And I just carried on working. I've been working since I was 16 years old. So I just kept on working. And then obviously COVID hit and I was put on furlough, and it was the first time that I didn't work. So that kind of how it came about, where I was sitting with my thoughts, which I never usually do. So when I was looking, and also obviously TikTok blew up and there was loads of stuff about ADHD, and I'm flicking through and I'm like, oh, this sounds a bit like me and everything. But I didn't think anything of it because I was just thinking I don't want to think about it. But then going forward, I sought a private diagnosis. I went up to Brighton's with a psychologist. Don't know his name. He was a lovely chap. Because really I needed that confirmation of either it could be like a mental illness, BPD, or it's literally ADHD. And that's kind of how it went and being diagnosed. And that's how I think, yeah, that's it.
So, I was 43 when I was diagnosed in 2019. So it's that's why it's always interesting when I have female guests. I like to kind of know, why they thought they had ADHD before the diagnosis. So yeah, I think social media during lockdown definitely did late diagnosed women / men maybe, but mostly women because that's who I am fiercely supportive of.
Yeah.
Sorry, men, but this is just my, it's my
Yeah.
narrative. So, so I always kind of like to understand a little bit more. So how does your ADHD and your autism, you can talk about either and both, it's entirely up to you. How does that kind of show up in your daily life?
Well, in a sense, it's the executive dysfunction. It takes me, it's either my energy's really high in the morning, so I can get a lot done, but also it's it's never the same day. So it's up and down energy levels. So today, as I said, before the podcast, I've just come off my period and I am firing on all cylinders. I'm doing this, that, and everything. Last week, it was really a struggle. It was hard to me to get started. I literally was laying in bed. I was procrastinating. I spent a whole day crying last week. It's just this whole thing because it's the hormones in fluctuation, and this is a learning curve for me. So with that, it's the ADHD of also saying yes to everything. Can I overcommit? And someone says, oh, I've got this thing coming up. Yes. And then I look in the diary. Oh, I'm booked into that. And then it's the guilt and the shame. It's replying to people. And I have a WhatsApp full of unread messages. And it's kind of like, I need to reply. I think I replied and I don't. And it's all those sorts of things. And then it's a real hard, tricky thing because it's the autism side wanting that structure and routine. So then obviously when I'm not doing what I'm doing, then I get overwhelmed and have a little meltdown because the structure and routine is like gone out of whack and what the hell am I doing? So it's this weird kind of thing of like the chaos and the structure. And I think it's a really struggle to understand because it's just I know people can't be both, but I am in a way, and it's hard to be in like a camp of ADHD or autism because it's like I feel like I don't belong in both, but then I do have both the things, so it's just like a wild ride.
Yeah, and I mean, I've never been diagnosed with autism, but people say to me regularly that I do have autistic traits, but I think mine's more sensory. So I
Mm,
don't like the noise. I don't like loud noises. I don't like certain noises. I don't like smells.
yeah.
I don't like bleach. Bleach is one of the ones I always go to because it's like my mum used to just clean everything with bleach, and now
Mm,
I can't stand the smell of it. Ugh. So yeah, it smells. It's like lights. For me, it's very sensory overload. And I do need to schedule and a plan, but I can't do it.
mm,
So I think for me personally, I'm more ADHD than autistic. But with my daughter who's 27 now, she's definitely more autistic than ADHD. So, you know, the heritability of both of the things is in the 80% genetically, and it's like so you know, I am maybe I don't like looking at people in the eye, like in
mm.
the eyes.
Same,
I
yeah.
don't like I don't like being around lots of people at the same time. I don't like not being able to I get really claustrophobic really quickly.
Mm.
And apparently these are could all be symptoms of autism, not just ADHD, but autism as well. But I just don't know whether I would kind of go down the diagnosis route, and I really don't know why. But did you find that the assessments were different? Obviously, they're going to be different because they're two separate things, but there's lots of kind of crossover with the two things, isn't there?
Yeah, so when I got diagnosed in 2022, it was combined ADHD, which later we found out that the combined is the autistic traits. It's only because when they put me on meds for ADHD that I thought, oh my God, this is it. I'm going to be fixed. I'm going to like do everything properly and everything else. And so when that happened and I took the meds, it kind of quieted the ADHD, but raised the autistic like side, and it caused really anxiety inducing. So I thought, okay, the best bet is that I come off the meds and also seek a diagnosis because I know people like because I'm speaking to loads of people at the moment where they're saying that they don't want the diagnosis, self-diagnosis is validating as well. But I think because I was so lost growing up and not knowing who I am, I've never had a really true identity, and for me to seek out something for myself is actually big for me. So when I did the diagnosis of ADHD, and then when I went further for the autistic things and got diagnosis level 1, which means like because I was high mask and high functioning, and it was just like that clarity. So it is different in the test because I took the diva test for the ADHD, and there's some form of other test, and it's just long, and to be honest, I wanted to give up because it was just like it just took forever. But having that stuff and knowing that what I am and that clarity, it just made it feel more validating for me.
I think this is becoming a little bit of a trend as well. Like specifically, and I don't know whether and it's not just women guests that I have, but it seems that once that ADHD is diagnosed, whether you got people go on to get an autism diagnosis or not, but there's a trend showing to me where the ADHD medication obviously manages the ADHD. Well, it manages it, but it never doesn't really. There's no solution, is there? But once, like a couple of guests, quite a few guests that have I've talked to have said that when they started taking the ADHD meds, the autism symptoms, traits, whatever, went through the roof. And then a lot of ladies, quite a few ladies that have been diagnosed with ADHD first, like yourself, have then gone on to take medication, and then their autism is loud and proud. So they've then gone on to get like an autism assessment. And yeah, so it seems that there's a bit of a trend like with the ADHD medication.
Yeah, I think also in a sense it's just I was talking to my friend the other day and she was saying that the medication is actually for younger boys because it's Adderall, it's stimulants. They have not actually had medication for adults yet, and that's not talking about men or even like women. They
Exactly.
don't have like the medication to actually help us cope in adulthood. So what they've done is just given us like what stimulants needed for kids to progress. And I think that's the whole thing. And do you know what? There is some sort of sadness because for me, I wish it did help. And when you look on social media and you see like the ADHD and going, I've just taken my ADHD meds, look at me do all this stuff. And for me, I can be really honest, I've been raw dogging this since coming off the meds where I've just used supplements, but I don't know what works. So it's just me trying to find out. So yeah, it's that whole roller coaster of finding out. And I'm hoping, like, I know you can get coaching and all the other stuff, but I'm hoping in the future that they do create a drug that actually helps with the adulthood of neurodivergency.
I mean, that would be amazing. I did read something, and it might have been in America. Oh,
Mm.
sorry. I'm sorry. My for the listeners, if you don't already know, I've got fibro as well. My back is killing me today. Bit of a tangent. I read something maybe from America where there's a pharmaceutical company that are trying to create ADHD meds that work on the nicotine receptors in the brain, because there's huge links between, and this is not just, there's lots of people that have ADHD that may or may not, let's just say, self-medicate or manage their ADHD symptoms with nicotine. And it's something to do with the nicotine receptors in the brain, and trying to it could just be something that was just clickbait that I read, and it might not be an actual thing. So but I do know, yeah, specifically for women, I think because the symptoms and because the biology and our hormones, and because it's very, very different for us, but also similar to some men, don't get me wrong. But I think, like joining the dots with the female hormones and creating something that would be more beneficial to us would be absolutely amazing. But unfortunately, I think we're a few years off of that yet.
Yeah, I think it would be because I'm finally understanding, like, I'm having regular periods now. And what I didn't really understand is that we're susceptible to PMDD. And I didn't really realize that. I thought I just had the most horrorless time going when I was on my cycle. But the fact that I know that there's a link between neurodivergency and like female and hormones in your cycle, it's just, I knew and I'm starting to learn that obviously last week I was like shot, but I know that the 2 weeks, like coming into this and next week, I'm going to be at my bestest. And that's the whole thing that like you don't see and not being educated about because like obviously yeah, it's great, the meds and everything else, but then it's kind of like the mindset and like also managing your levels today and like having that whole education for women going, well, like, oh, this whole calendar where you could say, right, my energy is going to be good this time so I can fit this in. And then, oh no, bad days, I'm going to just keep it easy. But I never listened to my own self advice. I just keep on pushing through, but it would be actually beneficial.
Yeah, I definitely as well. And I think the more late diagnosed women, the older that women are when they're diagnosed, obviously there's unfortunately more trauma to unpack. And that there is also a reoccurring theme as well for mostly women, where we're also then going on to being diagnosed with complex PTSD because we've, like you said, high functioning, low, and where we've just been masking like all of our lives. And unfortunately, what's happened is that's changing the brain chemicals the chemicals in our brain. And then, yeah, there's lots of women that I've spoken to that are also then going on to be diagnosed with complex PTSD. So I know I have as well, but mine comes from my childhood trauma.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Like, I'll be honest, I've actually started to look into get into therapy because I have a lot of trauma in my past, which I haven't like unearthed for a long time. And then finally realizing like how I am and everything else, it's starting to connect the dots. But I know that I'm still in those vicious cycles. So for me, and this was really like me reaching out was a big step because I needed to find someone who was neurodivergent, like aware and knows how to like talk and treat and all that stuff. And the thing is the trauma that I have may have like catered to how I am and how I've mimicked and tried to keep safe and everything else. So for me, that I think that's really important. To have that whole link with also trauma and all that all this because it's finally understanding who I am and maybe trying to get to that healing process and try to be like really like happy with myself.
I think that's really important. And I know it's a long journey for us sometimes, but I think, I love the fact that you've just said that because I've had a lot of therapy, a lot of psychotherapy. I've had some CBT, DBT, I've had all sorts. And like unpacking, it's just some of the stuff that I've had to unpack has been like one step forward, 10 steps back, and you kind of do a bit of a jig where you're just like, but the analogy I like to use is that I've carried a rucksack of stones with me. And for 50 years, I turned 50 last year. I've carried that rucksack around with me for all of that time. And slowly but surely, I've started taking one stone out at a time and sometimes putting two or three back. But it's been one stone, two, whatever. And I've gone through that cycle and yeah, and then the unmasking. So the only thing that really has helped me, which is now my full focus, is strength based. So just learning about what my strengths are and how I can focus and how to focus on them rather than, hence the podcast, deficit to difference, and then just focusing on them, not brushing the challenges under the carpet, highlighting them, but not focusing on them all the time. And that seems to be the only way that I've managed to kind of, and don't get me wrong, the trauma is still kind of triggered, the ADHD, emotional dysregulation, emotional hyperarousal, RSD, then the complex PTSD, and the two things are just, some days I have to just turn everything off and just sit and stare into like anything and everything because I just can't. But I think, like yourself, what is happening over slow periods of time is I'm starting to feel like I'm not being driven by
Mm.
that trauma anymore. And it is a slow process sometimes, but it is also really empowering. So it is about us just unpacking that rubbish, that shit from our pasts and unmasking and yeah, welcome to the madhouse.
That's literally true because even though that it is a journey, but it's never like a linear journey, it's never going to be straightforward. Because I could tell you, like a couple of weeks back, I had a big fight with a family member, and that big fight literally triggered my RSD, and I shut down for 3 days. And it was like a constant loop and spirals. And I know that like there's books, there's stuff you can listen to, and I have like educated myself, but I don't think no one gets it when you get, and it was like the massive fight, it was like people slinging like names and everything else. And because I respect them so much, I don't like fight back in a way. I am thicker skinned, but using those like nasty remarks, don't know how cutting it is. And like, it's like a death by a thousand cuts. But I think that's what people don't really understand, like how RSD is and like how it can affect us and how all sorts of stuff happens. I think that's just the case. It's just like proper more understanding, like you said. It's just like, yeah. I mean, it's no picnic. I say this all the time when I comment on stuff on ADHD and all this stuff. It's not a bandwagon thing. It's not this. It's not that. It's kind of the whole thing of just like, it's literally no picnic, and it's no the same, and my energy won't be the same, and it's something that can't really be fixed, but I want to work and embrace it differently.
Yeah. I mean, and I do know lots of people on social media that have problems with that toxic positivity. I have a problem with toxic negativity, but that's just me. And I also have a problem with people using clickbait to kind of
Mm.
grow their audience, because that really drives me insane. Because I just think you're spreading negative, kind of toxic negativity around, and yeah, I don't really like
Yeah,
that. But
I
uh,
think that is the main thing that really does what piss me off, is the negative clickbait. It's like, I mean, if we're going to talk about it, there is one thumbnail that he put on where he was talking to an AuDHD expert, and it said AuDHD women, it's horrific, right?
yeah,
And I did comment after it because it's horrific. It's challenging. You can't use such a like really strong word, because yes, some days it is horrific, but it is challenging, right? And it's just those titles that I think feeds into the stigma of us. Like, it feeds into the fear and the stereotypes and everything, where I go into like networking things and like people just go, "Oh yeah, like ADHD is just a thing," but it's not. It's like, it's not it just frustrates me so much. It's like, because I run my business, I have to go to networking stuff, and obviously I say I'm neurodivergent because I'm not ashamed. And like, one aspect, someone literally said special needs, and the thing is, past me would have just gone, ignore it, move on. But for me right now, living in my truth and how I am, I say, well, it's not special needs. People have now got the language that they didn't have back in the day, and they're now exploring that, and it's their right to. And it's nothing special needs about it. You can help and accommodate. We need help and accommodation, but the whole thing of it being some sort of like whole different factor where disability means that you are seen to be disabled and you can't function in society, when society has put that label on you. And that is, I think, in my whole thing, is just like, every time I don't stay silent, I literally form to educate. And I know that sounds like I'm standing on my soapbox right now,
no, because
but I
I'm
think if you
standing
don't,
next to you. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
standing
but if
next
you
to you.
don't speak up about it, then you're going to let it slide, and then you're going to let that fear and stigma grow. And that's what I don't like about it all. So that's kind of why I put myself out there, like even on LinkedIn. I go out and I'm running the community, because I just think we need to like talk and more action instead of awareness as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
honestly, you're saying all of the things that
yeah.
I say regularly. Like, just to kind of backtrack a little bit. So RSD, if there's any non-ADHD listeners, I'm sure I've spoken about RSD quite a lot, but rejection sensitivity dysphoria, which is an extreme reaction, um, from perceived or actual rejection, and you can be diagnosed with RSD on its own. You don't have to be diagnosed with ADHD. It's not just an ADHD thing, but it is a symptom and a part of the emotional dysregulation for those of us that do have ADHD. You can also have RSD if you're specifically really sensitive, like really, really sensitive, if you've got PTSD or complex PTSD, there's lots of people that are diagnosed with RSD that don't have ADHD as well. But for me, it is literally, it's like a physical pain when it's triggered. And it's a physical pain. It's almost like someone kicks me in the guts. And it's like, it's weird. And then I go into this really mad cycle, like, the negative kind of, so yeah. How do you experience that then, Charlie? The RSD?
Um, so as I was like saying before, I think it's just the negative comments or like something that's open ended in a sentence, that it could be taken negatively. It's um the the text is or like a comment or and I don't know whether you get it as well, like when you can sense body language and you can sense like when you go into a room or like when you talk to your friend and their tone is different. And it could be absolutely nothing at all, right? But in their tone is different. Like they were excited about that before, but they're not. But we don't look at that, oh, something must have happened to them, their mood has changed. You think, oh God, that's all on us. Like we've like
What have
done
I
that.
done?
And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's kind of like that. And getting into like fights is not really great, especially when you're in like kind of like a low self-esteem as it is. And like that's how rejection sensitivity is in a way, because it's trying to go, right, it's not a big thing, but literally in your head, it's 10 times million worse, which makes you lose sleep. You don't eat. You stay like literally bedbound if you wanted to. You don't talk to anyone. You don't socialize until you literally have like this clear, what's the word I'm looking for? This clear thing of someone saying, like, clear context of saying, "No, you're all right. You're absolutely fine. I didn't mean it that way." That it's kind of those things until you get that confirmation.
Validation. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Validation or
yeah, that's it.
confirmation.
Yeah, so that's kind of how RSD is kind of affects me and probably most others and yourself. It's just that.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's weird because it literally feels like for me like it's physical pain, like, and someone's just kicked me in the guts. And like I love, it can be something that I'm misunderstanding. Like you've just said, it can be like the energy around me changes, um, and it can be like, like I think I've done something wrong, or sometimes I have done something wrong, or a lot of the time it's because it's triggered because I think or used to be triggered more because I didn't know how to advocate for my ADHD and my symptoms and things like that. So yeah, even just the time blindness, I'll be late for my own funeral. Literally, I don't know how because I'll be dead, but guaranteed I'll be late for my own funeral because like time for me just is, there's no concept of time. So I've had to become really kind of stringent with myself in just because I don't want that RSD shame cycle to continue to debilitate me like as much as it has done in the past going forward.
Yeah, I mean, time blindness literally is the same for me. It's like I can work on something and then it's hours later, or like I have to be at an event, but I think it's probably maybe the autism or ADHD, but the thing is I have to be there an hour early, because if I'm an hour early to things, then I won't miss it. And if I'm late by 1 minute or even a second, it sends me into a meltdown. So, and then it's just that constant, I think that's that mix, isn't it? RSD and the time blindness, because it's just the shame of like, right, I should be doing this, or like I get a text going, "Where are you?" And I'm thinking, oh God. And it's kind of those things. And then you feel bad and everyone's going, "Oh, it's all right." But for me, it's something with me personally that goes, no, it's not all right, but it's just trying to make people understand. It's just, I'm really time OCD because I know that I've got this time blindness and I literally can't help it. It's like when people say, "I'll be there in half an hour," or "I'll be there in 10 minutes." I don't know what those mean until I'm literally in it.
Yeah. Exactly. And my partner, bless him, we've been together nearly 7 years now. And yes, he is still half sensible after living with me for nearly 7 years. He's very autistic, very more autistic than I am. And he likes routine, he likes plans. My daughter's the same. You need a routine, you need this, you need that. And he now knows that if we have to go anywhere, and my daughter does this as well, either he'll tell me that we have to leave earlier, which is what my daughter does, then we have to actually leave. So then you've got that time buffer of kind of, we've got maybe half an hour or 15 or 20 minutes to play around with. And he also gives me like, right, we've got to go, we've got to leave in 20 minutes. Okay, okay. Got to leave in 15 minutes. Okay. Got to leave in 10 minutes. Oh, okay. I've got loads of time in my head throughout these things. I'm thinking I've got all the time in the world because I have no concept a lot of the time about how long something's going to take me to do. And then he's like, we've got to leave in 5 minutes. Then I'm like, fat. And then it's like running around like a mad person. Like he says to me sometimes, why? And I'm like, because, and although ADHD is not an excuse, and there is no excuse, and I should get up and start kind of getting ready sooner, and I am becoming better with that because I know that the minute it stresses someone else out, I try not to do it. But if it's about stressing myself out, I just struggle with that. I don't know why, but I do. Um, but yeah, it's almost like if anyone could see us, like it's like he's parenting a 5-year-old. Giving me little kind of, and it's not like that at all. He just knows that, and he knows that that kind of thing makes me feel so ashamed when it's kind of, when I do it and then I'm late and then, it's just, it's exhausting some days for him,
Yeah,
probably more than me.
I think it's I do get teased a lot, but all in jest because I do turn up to things early. But I think it's that they don't realise the content. It's just like I have to be there at 9. So right, it's 9 o'clock. So I know I've got to wake up early. That means I have to shower. Then I have to get dressed. And then it's kind of like because I live in Gosport, most of the networking events are in Portsmouth. So that is a bus ride and a ferry and then possibly another bus ride. And it's just timing that all in my head. Literally, Google Maps is my friend because it's just like doing that route. But people go, oh my God, you must be so efficient. It's not, because I know that basically I need to do all these steps to prepare myself for this event. And I could get there on time. But if I'm literally there like over that time, it just sends me into a little kind of tizzy because I'm just like, okay. And it's the amount of effort. And I think when you say about like, your husband and your child, and it brings that shame, it brings my shame because when others count on me, when it's just me going out, I'm just like literally, okay, right, I've got it, let's go. And if it's my time's my own, but if there's an event that someone's hosting or doing and I've got to be there, then I'm kind of like, right, in my head, and then basically I'm there like probably either an hour early or half an hour, and all I'm doing is just roaming the streets because nothing's open, or I'm leaning against the wall because it's just like that's how prepared I am, thinking that I'm going to be late.
Do you have to kind of mentally prepare yourself to do things in the day or the next day? Or is it just me that for instance, so obviously part of having ADHD can be that we are very impulsive and spontaneous and stuff. It I can be like that, but also if I need to do something either later today or if I have to do something tomorrow, I have to mentally prepare myself. Like you're probably similar to what you've just said. You know the routine. You need to get up at whatever time, have a shower, have your breakfast, leave the house, get your ferry and your whatever bus, blah 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 to get there. It's similar for me. So I can't a lot of the time do anything that I haven't planned to do in a day, if that makes it.
Mm.
Does that make
Yeah,
any
yeah,
sense
yeah,
to you?
yeah. Yeah, no, that's the same. Like, I don't know whether you get like, the ADHD paralysis. So like I really hate appointments in the afternoon
Me too.
because if I have an appointment in the afternoon, I always prefer in the morning because I know it'll be all I think about. I always mentally prepare like stuff where so if I'm this is just a casual day right now because I know I've got to do certain tasks for clients' work and everything else. but I know tomorrow I need to go out. So when I go out, that takes a much more mental preparing, because I know that I have to like travel and get there. And then I know that even though the place that I'm going to tomorrow, I'm comfortable and I can unmask, but also there's a case of like new people come to it. So it's kind of like a networking event. So I know that there's going to be people there, and then you've got to rehearse the small talk. And I think that's the whole thing where people don't realize is there's a million things, like the mental preparedness for only one interaction is kind of really big, because then it's just kind of like you're rehearsing small talk. I absolutely hate small talk,
Me
but I
too.
know that I've got to talk because it makes people feel comfortable, and we can't talk into a deeper, like, conversation when you've just met a stranger for 5 minutes. So you've got to rehearse that. And then I know that right now we're in the heat wave. So right now I've got to really plan my outfit, that either if I don't overheat or like literally die. And like I've got some mini fans somewhere, not seen them since last year. I've now got to mentally prepare, like this afternoon, trying to find all these mini fans. And also I don't drink water as regularly as I should. So I know that probably I need to take a bottle. So it's kind of those little preemptive kind of things, because what would be a simple thing of like getting to travel there and go in there. Now I've got to counteract the heat wave. I've got to counteract the people. And then how long will that take? And then I need to go back home to do more stuff. It's just, it's kind of that, like you said, like that mental preparedness. It like just takes one step, takes forever to actually action.
Yeah. And it is exhausting as well, isn't it? And obviously this is not necessarily like it's not portrayed to anyone but ourselves, because it's
Mm.
all kind of these are the processes that we have to go to through in our head and stuff. But yeah, it's yeah, the heat. I mean, let's just call this heat is okay. I'm going to use a really bad word. No, I'm not. This heat is just it's not pleasant, is it?
No,
It's
the thing is, I didn't really realize that, because I thought it was just me. So, the impulsivity yesterday was me going to Gunwharf, where they had a little food festival. It was happening all bank holiday, but I thought, like, I'll go Monday. What I didn't counteract is people saying it was going to be the hottest day of the year, right? So I wore black leggings, a simple top, my hair was up. I had this thing on there, but I didn't have no water. I didn't put no sun cream on. I just went there. I only stayed an hour because literally there were so many people. It was bustling. It was hot. And also, it was like walking to and from. And I just thought I was literally, this is it. This was my time. I know that sounds dramatic, but it was literally, I was so hot. I was sweating. I was thinking, I am so uncomfortable in these clothes. I cannot wait to come home and get out of them and get in a shower. It's kind of those things that I don't realize, because I was thinking impulsively, I want to try all that new food and all that stuff. And I'm thinking it's going to be great. I'm going to try it. It's going to be a great time. But what I don't counteract is there's loads of people. The tables are full. I sat on a hot bunch. I've now got sunburnt on my arms. I've got sunburnt on my face and my legs. And the thing is, people go, oh, you should have wore sun cream. Well, yes, it was in my bag, but like, you don't think of those things when you're thinking, I'm really hot, I'm melting, I am going to really combust right now.
yeah, exactly. And it's almost like it's yeah, we just kind of get stuck in that, and we don't necessarily always know how to get ourselves out of it, do we, in the moment? And it's yeah, I don't like the heat.
No,
I just don't. It's not pleasant. It's just yeah, and I get heat
it's
stroke
horrible.
really easy or heat exhaustion really
Yeah.
easy. So I'm probably the viewers, listeners, not the listeners. If you're watching the video, I've got a big fan behind me, and I have to have like 2 or 3 some days, especially when it's hot as it is here today. I think it's like 34 or 35 degrees in Essex today, and it's just
Mm.
like I'm melting, like literally just melting.
Well, just same here, because I've got one of these. I've got like a couple near my bed. And it's just so hot, because I'd rather be really cold, like literally winter, I love it. Autumn, I love it. Even though I love like the long summer days, I just don't like this heat. And it's just like, if I can't regulate myself, then I'm going to be very overstimulated. I can't like function. I get into a snappy turtle mode when people talk to me because I'm just so over sensory loaded. And I think that is like, that's something that I'm learning, that it's not just me, it's everyone else that is like neurodivergent. And it's something that I need to like prepare. And obviously, I don't prepare because I did have the sun cream and I did try and keep myself hydrated, but then they're afterthoughts. All my life has been is kind of afterthoughts, if you think about it. I impulsively do stuff, and then I look back at it and go, oh God, and then we do it differently every time and still forget the stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I call it a walking, talking contradiction
Mm,
when I talk about my experiences and things that I do, because I just think it is like, you sometimes, particularly when it comes to my partner and my daughter, like trying to get them to understand, like how the symptoms are and the fact that I don't do these things on purpose. I don't, and yes, there's no excuse. Um, but it's just, yeah, it's trying to break that shame cycle for me and that spiral of kind of feeling ashamed and stuff like, and like yourself, mm, humor is the only thing. I laugh probably um at myself more than anyone else does, because if I don't, I'm just going into the shame. So I'll say or do something and then I'll just end up like laughing. Then my other half starts laughing. And then but I think the more I advocate, the more I explain my ADHD symptoms, the more that I kind of that people around me understand it, the more it removes that kind of stigma and the shame for me. So, yeah, I don't know about you.
No, the same. It's like when you say the excuse, I think really it's the explanation. So, like, you know, when people say that, oh, it's my ADHD, but the thing is, for me, I take it to a level of like it's the explanation, because I don't make it an excuse to counteract what's happening. It's the explanation. So, like, take example, because obviously it's new. Like, yesterday, I was hot, and that led me to be very snappy, very like kind of like short fused and irritable, right? And obviously, I was snappy, and I was talking to my friend who went with me, and I did snap at her because I got very hot. And the thing is, afterwards, I did say, I'm sorry because I'm overstimulated and it's like part of my like neurodivergency. She knows all about it, but it's a case of saying that it's the explanation. And I think that's what's really kind of bad. And I think because what happened with social media and all this negative stuff, it's kind of like, well, everyone's a bit ADHD. Oh, I forgot my keys and everything in the house, and that's kind of like the excuse. But the thing is, it's not for me the explanation. Like, I'll be honest, I lost my house keys for 2 weeks, right? I could not find them at all. I had to use a spare key. And my explanation is I've got the short term memory of ADHD. I walk into a room and I can't remember where I put things, or this is why I've got clear boxes everywhere. It's the explanation. It's not because, oh, I just didn't want to get into my house for 2 weeks and everything. That's the excuse. No, it was literally just the case of the short term working memory does not work for me. And if you tell me something, or if I lose something, that's kind of it. And that's kind of what I try to get people to understand. Tell me something, it's got to be written down, because I will not remember it. Or like if you tell me something's place something here, then it's got to be in a clear box. So it's just kind of like the explanation and also counteracting it. So this is where I hate when people just say the excuse, because yes, okay, you've got it. That's the explanation, but it should never be an excuse. It should be like learning, like the self-learning, and like trying to do something about it. But I know it's hard to do something about it, but it's just a case of like, it's just the self-learning thing I think I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we go on like a journey of self-discovery, don't we? And the more that we learn about ourselves, the more we learn about our symptoms, the more we kind of are able to then articulate that to other people, the more like the stigma reduces, the discrimination, because there are things that probably both of us find really challenging, but that doesn't mean to say that we don't do them. It just means that we need to allow ourselves more time and energy for the things that we find boring, which for me is numbers.
Yeah.
Writing. Right, academic writing
Yeah,
and anything to do with maths. I'm just like the brain switches off. It's just like,
yeah,
nope.
yeah. The thing is, it's just like I said, it's like, like the learning of like when you get the diagnosis, it's just kind of it's non-linear, like we said. Like when I said that I'm a neurodivergent advocate, when I kind of like said to the world I'm neurodivergent, it's not because I've got life sorted. Literally, I have not. I am the least person you want to be a role model for, because in a sense, it's just me saying that, yes, life is hard, right? But I would love to actually say that life is hard. I'm doing what I'm doing. I've got some tips. They work for me. They might work for you, but I'm literally not a life guru of neurodivergency. I kind of want to help people because I really feel like, with the long waiting lists and people being lost after diagnosis, I feel that people with lived in experience need to step up when like proper support systems don't, because I think that's what it's sense of community and finding your tribe. And I think if you collectively come together going, God, this is fucking hard, and we all go, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I think it's that understanding and also again that validation. So yeah, I think
Yeah, one of the things I particularly liked about you now, I know we've been booked in a few times, haven't we? And I know one of the times, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, but one of the times was because you said you could feel yourself going into burnout. And you just said it. And obviously at that point, I'm a stranger, just someone you've met through LinkedIn, but you had the courage to say that you but yeah, talk me through that then. One of the like you advocating for your burnout, because I really loved that about you before we'd even actually met and spoken like today. So
yeah. So when I launched my business in April, it finally gained traction in October. The thing is, because for 10 years I was high masking and high functioning, um, which had burnouts, which I didn't really understand during the time, I keep on pushing. So I push, push, push. So and then I know that when I push, it leads me into burnout. So I'm kind of finally realizing that. So I did write something when I did a Substack. I've stopped doing it, but I will try and do it. It's one of those things where you start something and it stops. But for me, as a metaphor, I have got ADHD and autism. They are pilots in this aeroplane in my head, and the lights are flashing, and the ADHD pilot is literally right. Let's keep on going. Let's keep on going. And then he just burns out, he or she, right? And the autism takes over because we know this route before, we know what we're doing. And when I realize that, I know that I need to step back, but I don't always listen to myself. And it's really hard for me because speaking up, saying that I can't do things because I'm low energy and everything else is really hard to say that, because obviously I've got to keep on going. There's things going, but I knew I wouldn't be my best self and presenting who I am if I had this like podcast at that moment in time, because I would literally just be low, everything would be just negative. I would just do it and hope to get by it. And then obviously when it all comes out, watching back, there would be such shame and guilt for me, knowing that I should have just said I needed to rest in that point and not. So I think it is a big deal to call out the burnout when I see it. Um, and that's why I messaged and said that to you, because in a sense, letting people know that, right, I can't do this, even though I felt really bad and guilty because we kept on like moving it about and
yeah.
all this stuff. But I knew that I probably wouldn't be happy with myself doing it. And also in a case that it wouldn't be great um for a great podcast as well as itself, even though it could have been a real raw one, which is it is here. But for me, it's just there's also this perfectionism in me, even though it's chaotic and how it is. I know that I need it to be somewhat semi-perfect, or I'll just go, oh God, look, you've just done that shit, you've done poorly. And I think it doesn't help with their mental health as well. So saying that to people and just saying no, which I'm learning now because I keep on saying yes, but saying no and saying like, right, I can't do this because the energy is low, my time, I need to focus on this. This is the biggest learning curve for me because I think it's the people pleaser element because I just want to keep everyone happy, everyone going, but then I just push myself right to the back of the queue. So that is a learning curve. So yeah, that's the kind of it with the burnout and wanting to like try and say reset the engines, even though I still try and push, but I'm trying to take it as like you said, like it's one stone out of the bag a time when I'm learning all these things.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it's dependent on where we are in a cycle as well, in our monthly, like, where our monthly cycle is, as to how much time and effort, or how much effort and energy that we will have to do something. And yeah, I mean, I'm quite kind of flexible. I'm happy for people to, if they don't, if they can't or don't, or there's something else going on for them, then, I'm happy for it to just kind of be as and when the guests can, because I want the guests like yourself to come and just talk about your experience, your lived experiences. And I just love the fact that you were just like, I can feel myself headed into the burnout. And that's why I tried to say to you, like, please don't feel guilty. Honestly, it's fine. I want you to come when you feel able to, not just physically, but mentally, if you're not in burnout. Or so, yeah, again, you've got the superpower kind of energy this week and next week. So,
Yeah.
yeah, which
And
is,
that's much appreciated. And I think that's validated and understanding because I think like when I feel like obviously it's the little shame cycle inside me saying that, oh no, I can't do this, I can't perform, I can't do that. What does she think of me? What must she think? And it's just like that little thing. But having that message back saying you're absolutely fine did actually calm like my nervous system because it's just like in a sense when you're expectant of others and obviously like I've had like some negative feedback in the past of like things that I couldn't commit to and then obviously getting the whole negative feedback, oh why didn't you do this, or you should come, what are you doing, and all that, and to have someone say right that's absolutely fine was really great for me, and I really do appreciate that, and I feel like more people should have that, and I know my friends are in a sense, but I know that I've worked in some toxic environments where it's just like, "No, we keep on going, gotta keep on going," and then obviously, like, that keep on goingness has took a toll even on my mental health and physical health. Um, just to explain one burnout, where 2019, I was an office manager for a company and the finance manager was off like for maternity leave. So I was running a department of different departments, helping everyone else. My biological dad died, found that out
so
very
sorry.
unexpectedly. We were estranged, but like that happened. It was all this stuff, packing out. And I don't know whether you've heard this one thing where the body keeps count. So obviously it's just like it's stacked, it's stacked and stacked. And then January 2022, I got diagnosed with Bell's palsy, which what it was like I went to work that day. I was feeling tired. I was wearing my makeup. I was wearing my best thing. And I went for lunch and like I was tired, I was eating, and I came back up to the office and someone said, oh God, your face. And the fact being is that the whole side of this face literally gone. And when I got to the hospital and they ruled out it wasn't a stroke, it was Bell's palsy, but I didn't have nothing viral. And I'm guessing that really my body and like my said it's enough because I was working like long hours. I was trying to keep everyone happy and pleased. I had this like thing with my father that was strange and I had to deal with that, but I pushed it right back aside and I just kept on churning and churning and churning. And I think where that happened is just basically it just collapsed. And I would say that's one of my major burnouts. But also I am a glutton for punishment because in a sense, I'm still working at a neurotypical level, which I am trying to self-learn because in a sense, these burnouts is because I'm trying to push myself because I'm running a business and doing all these other things. it's and me being vocal about it, I'm heading to a burnout is one small step to help me realize that we don't want to go back to something else physical really harming or hurting me.
And yeah, I love that you, although you probably felt ashamed until I messaged you back, I love the fact that, that just kind of alleviated that kind of shame. Sorry, my brain couldn't think of the word then.
That's right.
It had gone. So, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go in a minute because I've got a lecture at
Okay.
university. Do you want to just obviously with lived experience podcast, but I'm happy for you to talk about the business that you've set up if it is beneficial to the listeners, or if even if it's not. Do you want to talk quickly, run us
I
through
would
that?
say
Because I
the
think
only yeah, so I'd say the only thing that I would love to share is that I've got a peer community called Comfortably Chaotic. It's an adult neurodivergent thing. Yeah, the oxymoron, comfortably chaotic, be comfortable in your chaos. It's a meet up in real life and online space. And it's just basically people coming together. It's people sharing real life experiences, being together and saying that we're all in this, and also doing more things to empower, because I want to do events and workshops just to help us in a way, because obviously we're not helped officially, so it just for lived in experience. So yeah, that's all I want to say. Comfy chaotic.
amazing, amazing, and I will share the link in the episode description of this episode. Oh my God. I managed to not get kind of tongue tied till right at the end. So yeah, I will share the link to Comfortably Chaotic, and yeah, keep me in mind because I love talking at events now.
Yeah,
I'm
okay, no
happy to kind
worries.
of, so keep me in mind. But yeah, unfortunately, sadly, I do have a lecture at 12:30. So yeah, it's honestly, Charlie, it's been such a pleasure. It's been really nice to kind of get to know you, to listen to your experiences, and actually, I'm quite honoured that this is your first podcast that you've been on, and it was with little old me. So I know I get told off by my partner for calling myself little old me because I'm not just little old me. So yeah, but no, thank you
Thank you,
for
Emma.
come in. And again, if you want to come back because there's some specific topic you want to talk about, then please just let me know or just book in. I really don't mind if you want to come back again. I'm happy to kind of, keep the conversations going. And then, yeah, all I ask you as the guest is just that you share the link once I've uploaded it with your network, and hopefully we can get these conversations and, you know, we can get more understanding and reduce the stigma and stuff. Um, so anyway, listeners, welcome and goodbye to season 2, episode 1. And for today, Charlie, thank you so much for your help. Before I press stop, I just will need you to stay for a few minutes, maybe, or just less than a minute. And I forgot to say to the listeners, thank you very much and goodbye for now.